Greetings, Anderson team and family. Thank you for your time as always. We are clearly not meeting virtually. I am doing a pre-recorded message in an aim to be very clear about expectations around our work together as we move forward. I do want to start with a warm welcome and say that I hope that you had an opportunity to rest, restore, do something fun that filled your bucket this weekend. I personally went to the country as always. I love to get away if I can. And there's a great spot in Piedmont, Oklahoma, where we as a family can go and be with other family. And so we have the opportunity to do that. And I legit just did a little yoga in the field, as it were, enjoyed feeding some chickens and playing with all of the animals. That was my therapy. Time with animals, fur babies, and time with real family and friends. So I hope you also had an opportunity to rest and restore. I want to take this time to norm on some expectations moving forward. I have a lot of love for every single one of you all. Anderson team and family, you are my heart. Even though things are in the midst of change and we are working in a different way, I am still very blessed and consider myself extremely fortunate to have the opportunity to work alongside this remarkable team. And with all of that love comes the hesitation at times to want to push on expectations. But I want to go ahead and just be transparent with you that it's come time to just stamp some expectations. We have a situation in which I just did a casual walkthrough throughout the halls, and I came into contact with 5 individuals just in my walkthrough that either did not have on a mask, that had their mask covering only their mouth, but their nose was exposed. I had other individuals that were having a break, as it were, and snacking, and so their mask was not on. And this is not to single individuals out. Again, my aim is not to make folks feel a certain type of a way, quote unquote, bad, but I do expect for behavior change after this message and after this meeting, because it is the safety and well-being of not just the one individual, but the safety and well-being of every single one in this building. So just going to share, there have been multiple staff members that have come up to me. They've brought different things to my attention. One of them was that the check-in didn't have the list of symptoms, so we have fixed that. That is corrected moving forward. We also had a situation where we have designated a door or an entrance and an exit, and it's been brought to my attention that we are not aware of that, or we are not minding that expectation. So let me stamp for us all that the front entrance is the entrance and the exit for this school building. And the expectation is that everyone is entering through the main building entrance, the main doors, so that they are going through the COVID screening. And that is the expectation. Every staff member is going through the front door. I understand that there's a check-in that is easily accessible from alternative entry points, but for this purpose, for this time, the entrance is the front door. So if you have not been doing that, my expectation is that that starts happening effective immediately. So everyone should be leaving out the front door this afternoon as well. That is, again, the why, stamping safety and well-being of all involved. There has to be an account given for the comings and the goings. If there were a situation with contact tracing, that becomes a situation where we need to make sure that we are abiding by the expectations so that it is easy that we share our data should it be necessary. Moving forward with that data piece, I'm also it's being shared that we're not, it's not even shared because I saw it. I already told you. It's not that it's being shared. It's that I'm seeing it. And as I said, I have a lot of love for everybody on this staff. But when I see a staff member walking down the hallway with their mask like this is not effective. And if I am with a person that I am close with, and I know we have a relationship in and outside of this building, that's great. But when you are in this building, the expectation is this mask. And if this mask looks any other way than fully covering your face, then it should be fixed immediately. Because here's what's happening, folks. I'm just going to be blank. I spend a lot of time in my blue fields wanting to make sure people are cared for. That's not going to be at the expense of me having to take responsibility for adults in this building not minding the expectation. This is not something I'm asking you to do. This is a district is saying that this mask is the thing that's got to be worn on our faces at all times, especially when we are in the company of other folks. There is no exception, because when the district comes to me, they're not going to come directly to you. They're going to come to me as a school leader, and they're going to ask me why the adults in my building are failing to follow the expectation that's been set forth by the guidelines that are not only the CDC guidelines, but our district guidelines, and then the site guidelines that I have shared with you repeatedly on every single newsletter. I have given you friendly reminders. I have given you kind reminders, and there have been one-on-one conversations. And so now, team and family, this is where we are. We are no longer in a space of friendly reminders or notes being given. If someone comes to me and asks me, what am I doing to support the fact that the adults in this building need to be following the guidelines, the support that I'm giving is now having to be documentation. That's where we are. So we're no longer having conversations. It is if I see you without your mask, or I see it without it being displayed properly, that is going to be a written form of documentation. And I'm going to let that paper trail speak for itself, because I will never have an answer as to why an individual is choosing not to follow the expectations. I will have wonderings in my heart about what that means about other expectations that need to be followed that are set forth, but I don't have the answers. And I cannot make up data for what I don't know, but I do know this. This is the expectation moving forward. It has not been followed fully. The expectation is that we are masked when we are in places of common areas. We are masked when we are in proximity that is less than 6 feet apart. And that we are also making sure that we are following those expectations of social distancing, washing our hands, and wearing our mask appropriately. Okay. To sum it up, our masks, our modes of protection are non-negotiables. If you are outside of this expectation, there will be a follow-up of a formal kind, which leads me into, wait a second, hold up, teacher-wise, we don't even have a set quote-unquote, contract yet. That's true, we don't. So moving into what's happening next, and this is for teachers, but all staff, just being mindful of the fact that there will be other look-fors as we are pushing in. Parks and I will be starting the process of informal observations. That will start tomorrow. And what this looks like is informal. We are not using Frontline. We're not using the document. I actually have my own way of tracking my evidence, low inference notes. Parks has a method for that for her roster. But what we are norming on is around these 3 areas. Teachers, when we are coming through, we are not looking for you to be lifting like the world on your shoulders. Because again, right now, everybody is learning still, and the grace is there. What we are going to be doing is giving feedback around noticings and wonderings. So when it comes to grade level content, we're still pushing that idea of making sure our students are exposed to grade level content that's growing them and closing the gap by putting the rigor and the lift that is appropriate for that grade level on the student. We're also going to look at grade level learning expectations. Some of that work has been explained and discussed in Empower sessions. We're bringing that back. So what I'm saying is that there'll be 3 areas of feedback. 1, yes, I know the TLE and observations, again, are still being negotiated. I'm giving you feedback around systems that are familiar. The TLE is a system that is familiar. So there will be feedback around the TLE. Then there'll also be essential content feedback. So what is the content or the content that you are delivering to students, and there'll be look-fors for that, as well as the learning expectations. Is the rigor appropriate for the grade level? Are all students asked to share the same grade level lift, or are we watering it down, which is not something that is our practice, so I don't anticipate seeing any of those things. I've seen great things, great effort, great lifts among this team. I have seen people rise to the occasion, people that are testing outside of the hours, people that are just really hustling because they recognize what's at stake. And I say that is Team Anderson all the way. That is Team Anderson all the way. I want to close in saying that I am going to send out a newsletter with this message, and I ask that you open the newsletter and that you read through the things. There will be very important information coming about Wednesday expectations, coming about the scope and sequence of the next 2 weeks before we hit fall break or the intersession in October. So that will be important information that will be shared. I also, there is an exit ticket following this meeting, and it is a 3-2-1 exit ticket. So after you have watched this video, after you have read the attached newsletter, document, whatever comes with this email, after you have taken a dive into that content, then you will be asked to submit a 3-2-1 exit ticket. This is the attendance this is the attendance marker. Your exit ticket, you will give me 3 things, 1, 2, 3 things that you have learned today as a result of either this video message and or the content that is included in the attached letter, memo, newsletter, whatever is attached. That needs to be open and read. 3 things that you have learned. 2 things that were unclear that you still have wonderings about. For example, Miss White, I heard you say that masks need to be worn at all times. My question is, does it need to be worn at this time? Another question I have is this. So 2 questions. And then that final piece, that number 1 is your commitment or your takeaway from moving forward. Meaning I am committed to implementing this practice, meaning I am walking away from this meeting, recognizing the importance of what's been asked of me, and my commitment is to follow through on what is being asked of me. So 3 things you've learned, 2 things you still have questions about, 1 thing you are committed to taking away and implementing into your practice. Now, this applies to everyone on staff because this is something that touches everyone on staff. What is specific may be the content related to the walkthroughs of teachers, but I want everyone to know that this was a whole staff meeting piece because this is something that the whole staff as an entire staff is responsible for doing. And I know that we are capable. I know that the work that we have already done and that we continue to do on a daily basis is remarkable. I know that numbers in our attendance are great data points, but the vibe and the energy and the excellence, the level of excellence and habit that we are, I've seen it and I know that's who we are. I know that's who we are to be. And so as a Marian Anderson team and family, I am closing out, thanking you for your time, and leaving you with these words. I love you, and I mean it. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.